All right, so I am making this video as of 2025 here in the Metro Atlanta, Georgia area, and I just want to talk a little bit about how real estate is going when it comes to the home buyer perspective. If you guys are looking to buy in the state of Georgia or in the Metro Atlanta area within the year of 2025 or beyond, this is something that I am doing with my buyers nowadays when it comes to them purchasing a home.
Welcome to my channel, Clark the Realtor. Don't forget to subscribe and let's get started.
If you guys don't know, we're seeing a lot of corporate investors kind of sucking up into this single family home.
A report published by a professor at Georgia State University found more than 30% of single-family homes here in Metro Atlanta are purchased by out-of-state corporations. That's more than 10 times the national average. And now the trend is spreading to other parts of our state. This map shows how many single-family homes are owned by out-of-state corporations. Exponentially higher numbers around urban areas, especially Metro Atlanta, where corporations own more than half of single-family homes in some counties.
It kind of all took place in the early 2000s, as far as like 2007, 2008, 2009, all the way to possibly 2012, when we saw that great financial crash and we saw that a lot of investors decided to kind of reorganize their portfolios and they start buying single family homes here in the Metro Atlanta area. And then once the pandemic happened, we kind of saw them fall back in as far as buying homes in this Metro Atlanta area again. This is very important. And the reason why I say this is important is because I can see two things happening, right? Either one, you buy into a community that's filled with a lot of investors per se, or let's say a lot of investors come in to buy inside this community. In turn, they offset the home prices or manipulate the home prices in two ways, right? They can either one, manipulate it where they're overbidding on said properties and then causing the home prices to go higher, which in turn will affect you as far as your taxes, right? Your property taxes. Also, it can manipulate in the wrong way as far as on the downside, because if you're in a community that's already filled with a lot of investors, and they all decide, hey, we just want to pick up one day and we want to liquidate these properties. We want to reorganize our portfolios, shift somewhere else where more people are kind of either renting at, as far as school districts, as far as location. They can also bring down the home property values and strip you of your equity. So say you bought a house, and let's just say 2024, right? You bought it for $400,000, and your whole subdivision is a subdivision of 20 houses, and about 80% of them, so let's say about 20 houses, let's say about 18 of them per se, right, is investor owned. All of a sudden, it only takes about 4 investors, really, 4 to 5 investors to off-sell. And let's say you bought for $400,000, the investors start to sell off and they just want to get rid of it, unload it, and they start to sell off for $350 or $300. Now you lose equity. Your equity is being stripped right away within a couple months, depending on how quickly they close, how quickly they sell off. And I know some people will say, well, what if you move into a community that doesn't have investors, and then all of a sudden investors come into the community and they weren't there before you get there? Of course, we can control what happens, so I understand that argument as well. However, what I tell people is that we can control what we can see right now, right? So it's better to know what you can do right now, kind of avoid said things. And of course, hopefully in the future, you'll continuously do this every time a home goes up in your neighborhood or you see something shifting. You'll be like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to check and I'm going to see who bought the home, right? So then that way you can know what might happen in the future wise. And if you need to possibly shift out that neighborhood and maybe sell because you see a flock of investors coming in and you just want to protect either your home equity or you want to do something in regards to protect that property value per se. So, let's kind of get into what I do as a realtor in the Metro Atlanta area. Again, if you want any insight, if you need any advice, if you want to work with me in regards to if you are purchasing in 2025, which I know this is a very volatile market and very unpredictable. So I am not forcing you to purchase anything in this market, but I'm telling you to do your homework. In the state of Georgia, we are a buyer beware state, so you want to be very due diligent in what you do. But any state you're in, you want to do so. But again, if you are looking to purchase in Atlanta, I'm telling people, please, if not with me and you're working with another realtor, ask your realtor to do this as well. I know the realtors will probably beat me up because it's more in-depth work for them to do, but I'm telling you, it allows you to know what is going on in your area. So this is what I always do, and this is what I did for a client that I was working with, we were searching in a subdivision, and I told him, I was like, okay, before we kind of get into you wanting to purchase and said subdivision, let's actually do a deep dive into the community. Let's find out what's truly happening in the community. And so this is what I've been doing in regards to helping buyers purchase down here in the Metro Atlanta area, because we are filled with so many investors nowadays, right? So as you guys can see, I color code everything. This takes me some time. So if you are working with me as a home buyer and you're like, okay, Devon, you say you were going to do this for me, what is going on, right? Just give me a moment. Let me dissect into the community. Let me find out, because I have to do a lot of back researching to find all this information out. But needless to say, right here, as you can see, I have green, meaning for sale. So this was the property the person was looking at right here. This was the only property in that particular subdivision at the moment that was for sale. This subdivision, there are 25 townhomes in here and 21 are rentals. So that's 84% investor owned. I always advise people, again, at the end of the day, you make your own informative decision, but this is information that you should be mindful of, because like I said, it either can, one, being that these investors are already set in this subdivision, is telling me one thing, right? That if they decide to start selling, which they are, and I will, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you exact addresses, but this one right here in the green was selling, right? They were listed at $319 when we looked at it. Now I just looked at it today. They're at $299. So these people in these subdivisions bought at So this one right here bought at $349, and then that homeowner bought at $349, and the homeowner at 201 across the street, they bought at $345 in 2020, and then the homeowner up here in this street, they bought for $440. So they bought for $440. So that shows you guys already that now this investor is trying to sell off the property, and they've already stripped equity. So the equity is on a downside, a downturn in this community, and it's the first one is starting right here. They're listed at $299 now. And then as you can see, because this green one that's for sale is actually an investor as well. This is an investor trying to sell this property. And then you have this green one right here is an investor trying to sell the property. And then you have all these right here. These are all rentals. Everything in the yellow, these are all investor owned. So all this is investor owned. All this is investor owned. All this is investor home, even the one for sale in green. And then right here, that's blue. That means a possible rental second home for the homeowner. When I deep dived into it, I saw that this particular owner had more than one property. So it's giving me either this is a second home for them to come for vacation or just to move around, or maybe like somebody in the family is living there, maybe someone's renting it. Or it could be a rental that a mom and pop investor personally has. So this one was a maybe, so we could kind of put in there maybe 22 properties are rental owned, but instead I put 21 to be on the safe side, because we don't know what this owner right here is doing. But we do know that these red ones are homeowners. So these ones are home occupiers. So they own their home. So we have here for sale in green, we have homeowner in red, rentals in yellow, and blue as a possible, meaning it's a second time home. Right here, there's a star that's telling you or current location at. This right here was a medium right here, so I drew that out. And then these were 2 trash cans over here. But again, it states that it's 25 townhomes in this community, 21 are rentals, 84% investor owned. So you want to be mindful. You want to kind of look into this data nowadays. I'll show you one of the steps that I do to get to kind of start mapping that out. And again, this is something that you can ask your realtor to do. If you are in the Metro Atlanta area and you want to work with me, you can always reach out as well to me to work to help you in the sense of purchasing if you are looking to purchase. Right, so you'll come into the system, this is our FMLS system down here in Georgia. Right here where it says Realist, you will click into Realist. That's where we were just at. So once I did that, I put the address in, and then it takes me to the subdivision where we were at in the beginning. And that's how you kind of pull that information. And then you can individually click on these particular brackets here. You can individually click on them, and it'll bring up the owner of said property. And then once you click on it, you can then click report. So like this, like, let me see. So it'll bring up the person. and then you click report, and then it'll bring up the information in regards to the whole property. And that way you can then start to deep dive and do your research with your realtor to kind of figure out if this is an investor owned. Sometimes, again, like I mentioned, if it comes up that it's a person's name, you're gonna have to do further investigation just to figure out if they are investor owned or not. And I always use another system that your realtor will have access to in order to find said information about each person that you're looking up when it comes to the property being sold. Clark the Realtor. I am a realtor located in the Metro Atlanta area. If you are looking to buy this market, be very mindful to do that back research to make sure you understand what's happening in that subdivision before you move into the subdivision, because again, these investors, particularly corporate investors, have manipulated the market, and they manipulated it up in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, where home prices became ridiculously high. And now they are reorganizing in some areas, and they are starting to strip equity out of people's property. Because what happens if something happens in your life and you have to sell, you don't want to find yourself underwater where it's kind of hard to get out of said property because of the sale. So you want to kind of know what's going on, understand the back part of what's happening in that subdivision. And the more you know, the more it could possibly help you going forward when it comes to the equity in your house and if you have to sell. But we want you to stay in your house forever if possible. But if you have to sell, you'll get this information and you'll kind of know what's happening in that subdivision that you decide to buy in. Again, my name is Devon Clark, or Clark the Realtor. If you want to reach me, my email is below. You can reach out at any time. Just send me an email and I will be sure to get back to you. If you need to be connected to any other realtors outside of the Metro Atlanta area, you can always reach out to me as well, and I will do my best to connect you with any other realtors, realtor partners. And as always, thank you guys for coming to the channel. Hopefully you learned something in regards to purchasing a house in the 2025 housing market when it comes to this Metro Atlanta, Georgia area. All right, take care. Bye-bye.